Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Z, coming up with part 2 of our Raid Shadow Legends free-to-play guide. Today we're going to talk about day 4, where you should be, what we want to focus on next, and the top 5 free-to-play friendly champions you can farm in the campaign. Let's get to it. Alright, here we are. So, first thing I want to do is I want to look at our champion progression to see where we're at right now. So right now we've got Kale at level 40. We've got 4 pieces of the lifesteal set on here, and we did 2 pieces of the cruel set on him as well. Now, not everyone's using the cruel set on him. Some people will use the divine life set at this point. It just depends on how he's doing for the campaign for you. If he's dying a lot, the divine life set's going to give him some more sustainability. If he's not dying at all, the cruel set's amazing because you're going to hit a little harder, so that's kind of where you're at. Now, we did get lucky. One of our ancient shards did give us Mausoleum Mage, who's a pretty solid champion. So we did put some effort into some gear on him to make our lives a little easier. But if you don't have him, using War Maiden as your second for champion for progression through the campaign is totally fine as well. So you don't need to worry about it. Just work on one of the two. Yeah, so that's how far we kind of got there. Now, if we look at how far we got in the campaign, we did all right. We finished normal, 3-starred all the way out, which is pretty big for us in the first 4 days because that gets us that void shard, very valuable, which we saved. We don't want to spend them until we get a 2 times event. We haven't spent it. I mean, there's a rumor that one's coming soon from the date of this video. I can't guarantee in the date of your video, but as much as possible, we want to save them for the 2 times chance events. Those are huge for us. So we not only did we complete normal, we went through most of hard. So most of you guys should be well into hard now through your levels. Some of you guys might even finish hard and be in a brutal, right? That's totally fine. That's great. You guys are ahead of the curve. Phenomenal. Super pumped. Mission wise, we've done all right as well. We are 68 points into the mission, almost the next 300, which is fantastic. That's gonna put us a good spot to get our gem mine leveled up, and then once we're done that, we can move on to saving our gems and using them for events and tournaments, which would be great. We've done 3 out of 7 for our arena challenges. We're on part 1 on the arena challenges, only halfway through it. We're on part 2 of the dungeon challenges just because they were there and easy to hit. And we are in part 7 on our artifact challenges. So this is one we've been grinding quite a bit. We're not doing any more of these until we hit brutal, because brutal is going to make it really easy to grind this next part. Instead of wasting a bunch of energy on hard, we're going to wait till we get to brutal. And champion progression, we are 3 out of 5, almost 4 out of 5, which is probably, we're gonna probably stall here because right now we want to hurry up and get Kale to level 50. In order to do that, we have to get 4 4-star champions made up for him. So we're gonna stall on this one for a hot minute now as we move into the next few days. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. We haven't done a whole lot in dungeons either. We only got our dragon to stage 5. Only got our spider den to stage 5 as well. We've got ice golem to stage 7. Minotaur is stage 6. Fire Knight stage 2. We've just been doing just enough to kind of complete the missions, get farther in the game. So that is kind of where we're at. That's what we're doing. And now let's talk about the focus, which I kind of hinted at. So the main focus now for us is going to be getting Kale to level 50. Want him level 50, so we need to grind some food. Ideally, we want to get all the way through hard before grinding food, but if you can't, you can't, and that's not a problem. Don't worry about it. Just grind the best stage, the farthest stage you can complete easily with Kale. Grind that with your food champions to get them leveled up. And what I mean by grind that with your food champion is something as simple as you go to battle, go to your campaign, and like for this one, I'll probably go to 9. And then you just go to, say, stage 3. Wait, this is on hard? Yeah. You just go to whatever stage you think you can complete easily with him. Stage 9 or whatever. You're going to throw in, say, Kale. And then you'll throw in a couple food champions. This is a food champion I'm working on because I'm trying to get that one to 4 stars. Another food champion I'm working on, and another one. And then you're just going to hit start. You're going to run through it. They're going to get levels. You're going to keep on going until they're max level. Throw some more champions in there. Level up those champions. And they're going to use that for food to make Kale level 50. And that's kind of how you're going to do it. Ideally, like I said, you'll get yourself to hard 12-3. If you can't, you can't. Don't worry about it. Because once you get to Kale level 50, you can then crush through most of Brutal at that point. Get to the end game of Brutal, and that'll help you out quite a bit. Sweet. Next thing, we want to start working on getting our champions. This rolls into the top 5 champions that I think we should have for Raid Shadow Legends. So we're going to start with the very first champion that I think that you guys are going to want to pick up. So 5 being the worst of the 5 and 1 being the best of the 5. Okay. So one of the champions you might want to grind for is going to be Eris. Eris is a phenomenal champion. The reason she's so good, mostly in my opinion, is the A1. As long as she can kill the target she's hitting, she will continue to take turns. So if Kale goes first, he hits all the targets down to say 30% HP, Eris can clear out the rest of the squad. Nice way to get through a lot of the trash mobs when you're grinding. Next, she has a speed buff for her teams. And she can buff, and you can book it out to 100%, and then she has a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Speed buff of 30% is awesome. It's fantastic. It's going to really help your team take extra turns instead of having the enemy take those turns. She has a passive. Whenever her ally gets attacked, she then attacks the enemy. So it's a counterattack, which is awesome. And then she has an increased speed for dungeons. Not my favorite order for dungeons. I'd rather have defense or HP. Because with dungeons, the extra speed can be helpful, but I prefer being a little more tanky because you got to get through a bunch of mobs and then into the boss fight. All right, that's number 5. I don't know why I put up 10. That's number 5. Let's go to number 4. Number 4 is going to be Spirit Host, in my opinion. Spirit Host is a great champion to pick up. You can get it from stage 4. And Spirit Host has a bunch of useful skills for your team to help progression. So the first one she has is just on her A1 is she attacks and heals by 50% of the damage inflicted. It's a good way to keep Spirit Hosts themselves alive. Number 2, she when ascended, she gets a 50% increased attack buff for 2 turns on all allies. That's huge. It's a huge buff for your team. And lastly, this is one of her biggest things, is she removes all debuffs on all allies and places a block debuff on all allies for 1 turn. She's going to help take away those decreased defenses and decreased attacks off your team, as well as poisons and things like that to keep them alive longer, which is going to be big. And she also has an aura that increases speed in all battles by 10%, which is going to be very beneficial for you in the arena, because in the arena, it's all about going first. The team that goes first usually wins. Cool. Now we're going to get to our top 3. And these are probably going to be the 3 that I would hunt for, because I did pick up Mausoleum Mage already. I have him already. Probably going to pick up these 3 first, and then if I have time, I'll get the other ones. But these 3 are going to be a little more important for me personally. So coming in at number 3, we have on stage 11, Executioner. Executioner is actually a really good rare champion. He's going to have a bunch of skills that you're going to really enjoy for your team. First one is he has a chance to place a stun on a target for his A1. Not a huge chance, but anytime he hits a stun, it's going to feel pretty good to take an extra turn when that champion's dead. Not dead, stunned, and die. Next, he has a decreased speed debuff, as well as a turn meter manipulation. Now, attacks all enemies decreases turn meter by 20%. It's huge, especially in arena. If you go first, decrease their turn meter, you're going to guarantee that your whole team gets to go first before them, right? 50% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff, which can be booked up to 40%. So that is awesome. Slow them down. It's all about slowing them down on this skill for him, which is going to help keep your team alive and take extra turns. His last skill, his A3, is best one. It's quite awesome. It's going to give you, when ascended, a 60% increased defense and a counterattack on all champions for 3 turns. 3 turns is a lot. So they're gonna take 60% less damage roughly, and they're gonna be able to attack back. So you're gonna produce more damage, and your champions are gonna die less. And his aura, he's got a pretty good aura. Increase allied defense in all battles. All battles, that means dungeons, that means arena, that means campaign, everything, by 17%. So he is definitely a sweet champion to pick up. I've luckily farmed one already by accident. Sometimes you get lucky, okay? So he is a wicked champion. He comes in at the number 3 slot. So now let's take a look at the number 2 slot. And this one's kind of a sneaky one, and a lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I really like Diabolist on stage 12. The reason I like her is she kind of does everything with the speed and turn meter manipulation. So she's going to help you out a lot. So she has a small chance on her A1 to produce sleep. She has a speed buff for all your champions that can get booked out to a 3-turn cooldown. It lasts for 2 turns, so it's only 1 out of 3 turns that you're not going to have speed. Pretty sweet. As well as, I really like this one. When ascended, it fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, but it also decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. You're creating a 30% turn meter gap. Then you pair that with your executioner, and now you're creating a 50% turn meter gap. It's a lot of turn meter gap, as well as speeding up your champions. So you're ramping up your champions and you're slowing down them. You're creating this huge speed gap where you're going to take 2, maybe even 3 turns sometimes before they get to take a lot of other turns. It's going to really help keep your team alive and put out a lot more damage. So I think Diabolist is great. Another huge reason why I think she's awesome is you can farm her by doing 12-3, which is the best place in campaign based on your energy consumption for experience and silver gain. So she kind of just like checks all the boxes for me. That's why I really like her, and you can use her well into the mid game, so she's going to survive quite a bit. But all these champions kind of pale in comparison to our number 1. Our number 1 slot is super huge, super awesome. She can make it to pretty close to the late game. She can actually do the late game dungeons as one of your champions, and it's going to be War Maiden. She is insane, absolutely insane. She's phenomenal. There are better champions out there, but for the free-to-play people, that she's the best champion you can farm. And the reason is gonna be her A3. Once she's ascended and booked out, she's 100% chance of placing a 60% decreased debuff for 2 turns on all enemies. That's huge. Your entire team is now gonna hit for 60% more. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And then on her A2, which is also a wicked skill, once you've got booked up, she's going, well, you don't have to book this one up at all, actually. This one, she gets to attack an enemy. She places a 50% increased attack buff on herself. That's the big attack buff, as well as she takes an extra hit, or she gives out an extra hit if she does a critical on her first hit. So this is really important that you want to get her crit rate up to 100%. So she's always double striking on this move. And she can hit like a truck. She can hit really hard. And her A1 is pretty basic, but it's still worth noting that on her A1, she does have the small poison. So you can still land poison, which makes her serviceable for things like clan boss and stuff like that. She's not insane, but the decreased defense with that make her really good, right? So she is so good, and she pairs so well with Kale, because if you can get her to go first, she AoEs everyone, weakens them, and then Kale follows through with a big smash, finishes them off. They're a nice 1-2 punch, right? Both AoE skills. You're gonna walk through trash mobs very easily that way by using War Maiden plus Kale combo. And you'd have a pretty sweet team picked up with Kale, War Maiden, Diabolist, Executioner. You'd have a pretty sweet setup for your 4-stack for Arena. Now, the only thing that kind of sucks is with the free to play is you're kind of missing out on a healer. So you're going to have to use War Priest for a while. There's not a lot of good healers that kind of come through. War Priest is solid. But the other thing too is you're really hoping if you can pull an apothecary through the portal on your free to play account, that's where you're really going to win. That's kind of it for this one. You're really just trying to get Kale up to level 50 on this. You're trying to start farming some of those champions. Maybe you can get 2 or 3 of them. Don't focus too much on leveling them up too high. Get them to level 30, get some good gear on them, all that fun stuff. But Kale, getting him to level 50 is more important than getting the rest of them to level 40. Okay, you really want to focus on that one champion, drive him. Continue to push your missions forward. Continue to push your challenges forward. That's it. That'll take us to the rest of the week. That'll take us to day 7. And on day 7, we're going to talk about some more things that we want to start focusing on as we start getting closer to that early mid game. All right. Peace, guys. Much love.